his voice. But he must be. From one meeting to the next?
No, just us from home. Spent half an hour on the phone on the way down.
Okay, it is 6 o'clock. We will commence the meeting here. Pardon me? Oh,
I called the teacher and said I was gonna be a little delayed.
Oh, wow.
The mouse is.
yeah. We'll
I
wait
saw
for the-
him walk in right before me, so.
You're good.
We will start with roll call. From my right, Mr. Glines.
Mitch Glines, Planning and Zoning. Mark Schneider with Planning and Zoning.
Dalton Keiterling, Orrock Township.
Francine Larson, Blue Hill Township.
Steve DeMille's Palmer Township.
Terrence Van Dyke, Clear Lake Township.
Bruce Abel, Big Lake Township.
Kathy Sims, Haven Township.
Butch Hass, Livonia Township.
Gary Gray, Sherburne County Commissioner, District 4.
Lynn Watashik, Planning and Zoning Office.
Carrie Winter, Planning and Zoning.
Okay, and I'll ask the board members to make sure their mic is on, and when they speak, to lean into it. The meeting tonight is being recorded, both audio and visual, and the Planning Commission is basically a recommending body to the County Commission. The items tonight on the Planning Commission meeting, public hearing will be heard by the County Board of Commissioners on the 22nd of July, 2025 at 9 a.m. And all comments from tonight's meeting will be forwarded to that board. We'll start with, I'm assuming everybody had a chance to review last month's meetings and minutes. Are there any changes or corrections?
I'll make a motion to approve.
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
The agenda tonight, are there any changes to it?
I do not believe so, no.
Can I
Motion
entertain?
to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Agenda item number 1, Scott Reuter, conditional use permit for a personal storage structure. It is on parcel ID 40-004160408, 10624 56th Street Southeast in Palmer Township on Cedar Point, Lot 4, Block 4. Mr. Schneider.
Yep. So we had a board packet included an aerial photo survey, building elevations, and site photos. Palmer Township has no issues with the requests. There's adequate room for parking between the shed and the road right-of-way. No other comments were received from other agencies. So the applicant is requesting to construct a 1,200 square foot personal storage building in the property. The applicant owns a house on Rush Lake, down the road from this site. And per email from the applicant on May 13th, he intends to use the building to store general items, things like boat, utility trailers, UTV, lawnmower, snow blowers, and other small tools. The dimensions of the lot are 50 by 130, and there are no plans for a future dwelling on this property. There are currently no structures, wells, or septics on the property. The applicant has prepared the site for building by removing trees and starting dirt work. You can see that in the board packet attachment D. The applicant did receive a 33-foot variance from the right-of-way of 56th Avenue on June 12th, 2025 from the Sherburne County Board of Adjustment. The applicant has provided a survey from O'Malley and Crone. Date on the survey was June 2nd, 2025, showing the building complying with impervious surface and setback requirements. And so the maximum impervious surface in the property is 1,633 square feet. The project with building and driveway will equal 15,024 square feet, approximately 23.5% impervious surface. And with this conditional use permit, staff has recommended 5 conditions of approval.
Are there any questions from the board for staff? Would the applicant please step to the podium, state your name and their address for the record, please?
Sure.
Scott Reuter, 5509 108th Avenue, Clear Lake.
Do you understand the 5 conditions and are able to abide by them?
I do, and I will be able to, yes.
Yeah, okay. Any questions for the applicant? At this time, we'll open the public hearing. Is there anyone here to speak on this issue? Is there anyone here to speak on this issue? Is there anyone here to speak on this issue?
Move to close the public hearing.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I guess with that, we will,
I do have
entertain
a couple of comments.
okay.
As far as this lot size, we have a lot of lots like that in Cedar Point and especially around the lake. They're only 50 feet wide, 130 feet deep. This is a single lot. It isn't really buildable for a dwelling. So this is a good example of using those lots for a good use. He did go to the Board of Adjustments and moved the shed closer to the road to get away from the impervious. So that was a good solution to a small lot. And the township had no issue with being that close to the road because there was still plenty of room for trucks and trailers and stuff like that on the apron. So this again is one of these better uses of this land than a residence, and to put a septic on a small lot like that. So we agree with the usage of this property. And with that, I would make a motion to approve as presented with the 5 conditions.
I'll second that.
Okay, at this time, we'll proceed with the findings of fact.
Great. No conditional use permit shall be approved or recommended approval by the planning commission unless these findings have been made. So please note that the following comments are following comments that are italicized are zoning staff's response. You can choose to accept or modify the findings. Number 1, that the conditional use permit will not be injurious to the use and enjoyment of the property in the immediate vicinity for purposes already permitted nor substantially diminish and impair property values within the immediate vicinity.
Yes, the proposed use is a personal storage structure is not anticipated to diminish and impair values within the immediate area. This lot has been vacant for years, and there are numerous sheds of similar size.
Great. That the establishment of the conditional use will not impede the normal and orderly development and improvement of surrounding vacant properties for uses predominant in the area.
Yes, the proposed use will be used as a personal storage building that will not have water or sewer connected to it.
Great. That adequate utilities, access road, drainage, and other necessary facilities have been or are being provided.
Yes, the applicant doesn't need anything but additional electrical.
Great. Adequate measures have been or will be taken to provide sufficient off-street parking and loading space to serve the proposed use.
Yes, there may be some problem, well, I shouldn't say problem, but there could be some issues with construction, but after that, there's more than enough adequate room for parking.
Perfect. Lastly, that adequate measures have been or will be taken to prevent or control offensive odors, fumes, dust, noise, and vibration, so none of these will constitute a nuisance, and control lighted signs and other lights in such a manner that no disturbance to neighboring properties will result.
Yeah, the use of the property will not give offensive odors, fumes, dust, noise, and vibrations. This is a personal storage unit.
It has been moved, seconded, findings of facts recited. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. As stated, this item will be in front of the county board, was July
22nd.
For a second.
Thanks.
Okay.
It behooves you to be here.
May not be able to make that one.
Okay,
Right.
thanks.
Thank you.
Agenda item number 2, Cody Rideland, property owners Lucas and Jennifer Olson, requesting a preliminary and final simple plat approval of Whiskey Flats consisting of one lot. It is PIDs 15-00451-0205 and 15-0047-0115, address 31806 147th Street in Blue Hill Township. Consists of 2 previously platted lots, Lot 3, Block 1, Brookside Meadows, 2nd edition, and Lot 1, Block 2, Brookside Meadow, 4th edition. This is for Mr. Glines, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. As you mentioned, Lucas and Jennifer Olson are requesting a preliminary and final simple plat approval of Whiskey Flats. As you had mentioned, they own 2 lots adjacent to each other. However, they are in different plats. Therefore, they can't just combine them with a lot combination form. So the request is to plat it. So Blue Hill Township comments, the town board recommends approval of the simple plat as long as the county conditions are met. County surveyor, all survey comments have been addressed. David Rodell, there are no concerns with the plat, not on a county road. Mike Lindenau, county ditch inspector, no issues, does not benefit a county ditch. So the applicant is proposing to create the one lot, 11.89 acre, from the 6.35 acre lot in Brookside Meadows 4th edition. That's the location of the existing house, and an adjacent 5.54 acre vacant lot in Brookside Meadows 2nd edition. The reason for the simple plat is they wanted to build an accessory building on the vacant lot. However, they couldn't do it without a residence, so therefore they requested to plat the lots to create one. The 50 by 80 does meet the size for the 11.89 acre lot. On August 24th of 24, thanks Ms. Larson for the correction, Blue Hill Township did vacate the existing drainage utility easements between the shared lots and along all basically they vacated the drainage utility easements for Brookside Meadows 2nd and Brookside Meadows 4th edition. So those were all vacated, and the new plat will dedicate the new drainage utility easements. Wetland delineation was completed, and notice of decision was approved on October 16, 2024, with a condition that a 240 square foot structure that was located in the wetland had to be removed. Again, an inspection on June 4th, 2025 verified that the structure had been removed from the wetland. No future wetland impacts are proposed. The structure will not meet the required 100-foot setback to Battlebrook, but it can be permitted under shoreline rules as a water-oriented accessory structure. The applicant is required to apply for and pay for a shoreline alteration permit, which I believe has been submitted, so that is a condition that has been satisfied. And the septic was evaluated in 2017 and was deemed compliant. So there are 2 conditions. One of them has been met already.
Are there any questions from the board to staff?
Yeah,
I have one.
go ahead.
Sorry, okay. If the wetlands delineation was already a matter of record on the previous plats, why was it required a second time?
It was over 5 years old.
Over 5 years?
Correct.
I see.
Under state rules, a wetland delineation is only good for 5 years, so that's what we have to follow.
But I don't understand. It was already denoted on the previous plats.
Right.
I see.
Sometimes wetland boundaries change, is my understanding.
I see. Sir?
So the verbiage of the building definition is what created this problem? We're looking at an accessory building instead of a personal storage unit?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, so when the initial building was submitted, it showed 10 feet from the property line. And that was back into, I don't know exactly what date the building was built. So then when it burned down, they wanted to build it, but it had been on the other lot. So, and especially with a personal storage structure, they couldn't have done a, 3,200 square foot. They would have been limited to 1,200, being in the shoreland of Battlebrook. So with combining them, combining of the lots being over 5 acres, the largest one could be is 5,500 square feet. They're up and, they're going with 3,200, so
Okay,
meets the requirements.
makes sense.
Any other questions? Would the applicant please step forward to the podium and state your name and address for the record, please?
Jennifer Olson, 31806 147th Street, Princeton, Minnesota.
And do you understand and can you abide by the two conditions? We understand one has already been met,
Yes,
so it's just the one left. Yeah.
yes, we can abide.
Are there any questions from the board for the applicant?
I have a question, Mr.
Yes,
Chair.
sir.
Will this building have service by the existing septic system then?
No, no septic.
But there is a septic that's been inspected and,
Oh, I can clarify. The house needed to have a compliance
Okay.
inspection in order to
Okay.
do improvements. There's nothing proposed for the accessory building.
thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions?
Mr. Chair, just for
Ma'am.
clarification, is the is the building being used for personal storage only, or are you proposing to have a business out there?
Personal.
Perfect, thank you.
Any other questions? Well, with that, we'll open a public hearing. Is there anyone out there to speak on this issue? Is there anyone out there to speak on this issue? Anyone to speak on this issue?
Move to close the public hearing.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
With that, I will entertain a motion to approve, I guess.
I'll make a motion to
Go ahead.
approve as presented.
I'll second.
With the two conditions? Or
Yes.
One, okay. It's been approved and seconded. There are no findings of fact on plats, right?
Correct.
So, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Again, this will be presented on the 22nd of July to the county board. Pays to be here. Thank you for your presentation.
Thank you.
We'll move on to agenda item number 3. Mr. John Alford's requests to rezone from general rural to shoreline residential district. PID 10-00102-1203. Section 2, Township 33, Range 27, Big Lake. And it's within a recreational development shoreland district of Birch Lake. With that, I think it's what Mr. Lyons, isn't it?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. Yes, Mr. Alfords is requesting to rezone from general rural to shoreline residential district. Right now, the overall acreage is 25.05. The area that they're proposing to rezone from general rural to shoreline residential will be a 2.75 acre parcel, which we will be seeing next on the agenda as a proposed simple plat. The main reason for the rezone is that in order to get the lot width, which would normally be 200 feet at the road setback for a general rural zoning, it's 150 feet for the shoreline residential. So therefore, to meet that minimum lot width requirement, they have opted to rezone, which they are eligible to. They were within 1,000 feet of a recreational or development lake. If it was a natural environment lake, they would not be eligible to do this. But just a quick, the applicant has requested to rezone the proposed 2.75 acre lot from the general rural. Mark, can you pull up the aerial just so I can get an idea of what I'm talking about? So, yeah, scroll down. So the proposed 2.7 acre lot, general rural, so only this proposed lot would be rezoned to general rural, the rest, or shoreline residential, the rest would remain general rural. Under the current, like I said, under current zoning of general rural, the newly created lot would not meet the minimum lot width of 200 feet at the setback line. Again, with the rezone, the minimum lot width is 150 feet at the setback, allowing the new lot to be created. The county's 2030 to 2050 comprehensive plan land use map identifies this parcel as shoreline residential. Therefore, an amendment of the comprehensive plan land use plan is not needed, just the rezone. With that, I can answer any questions, or the applicant is here to answer any as well.
Are there any questions for staff? None? At this time, if we could have the applicant approach the podium, state your name and address for the record, please.
John Alford's, 15757, 228th Avenue.
How many conditions? Oh,
Elk River, Minnesota.
Elk River, okay.
There's just findings, there's no conditions.
Staff comments. Are there any questions for the applicant? None. At this time, we'll open the public hearing. Is there anyone out there to speak on this issue? Is there anyone out there to speak on this issue? Is there anyone out there to speak on this issue?
Move to close the public hearing.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We will proceed to the, at this time, we're looking for a motion to approve. I'm sure.
I would make a motion to approve. There are no conditions, but I would make a motion to approve.
Is there a second? Been moved and seconded.
So we will go through the findings.
We will proceed to the findings, please.
Yep, so for the findings pursuant to the county zoning ordinance, section 18, subdivision 4.5, after the public hearing, the county planning commission shall make a report of its consideration or recommendations on the proposed amendment, and then shall file a copy with the Board of County Commissioners and the zoning administrator. Consideration of a rezoning request shall include, without limitation, the following questions. So I can ask the questions, and Bruce? All right, please note the italic comments are zoning staff's response to the rezone questions. Letter A, is the proposed rezone consistent with the comprehensive plan?
Yes, the comprehensive land use map has this parcel identified as shoreland residential.
Letter B, is the current use of the property a permitted use within the proposed zoning district, or will the rezoning create a non-conforming use?
Yes, the current property has a single-family residence on it. With the rezone and simple plat, the proposed new zoning will allow for a single-family residence on this new lot.
Letter C, will the permitted uses within the proposed zoning district be injurious to the health or interfere with the comfortable enjoyment of life or property within the vicinity?
No, neighboring lands are currently zoned general rural and within the shoreland overlay district of Birch Lake, which have similar permitted uses like single-family housing.
Letter D, how will public services, example, transportation, schools, parks, police, fire, be impacted by the proposed rezoning? Will permitted uses within the proposed zoning district adversely impact or overburden existing public service capacity?
No, the change in zoning is not expected to have a significant impact on existing public services.
Letter E, the proposed rezoning is the proposed rezoning located in an area that has the potential to adversely impact natural resources such as surface water, groundwater, or wetlands, or sites identified for rare biological species habitat?
The proposed use of a single-family house will not adversely impact natural resources. Any future development of the property will require permits from Sherburne County Planning and Zoning. All development must comply with all zoning, subdivision, and stormwater regulations.
Letter F, does the proposed rezoning have the potential to impact ecologically sensitive or historically significant areas?
The proposed rezone will not have any impact on any ecological sensitive area and is unknown at this time if there is any historically significant areas in this land.
Letter G, does the property have sufficient size and physical characteristics to permit a reasonable use under the current zoning district?
Yes, this is a new 2.75 acre parcel, and any future development of this parcel will require permits from Sherburne County and will be required to comply with all zoning and subdivision regulations.
And letter H, Any other factors that may be relevant to determining whether the proposed rezoning is appropriate?
This property is currently within the Shoreland Overlay District of Birch Lake and is eligible to be rezoned from general rural to shoreland residential, which is also identified in the Land Use Comprehensive Map.
Thank you.
Okay, it's been moved, seconded, the findings of facts recited. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. We will proceed on to agenda item number 4. And this again is Mr. Alfred's,
Correct.
and it's basically, it's a simple plat, both preliminary and final. PID 10-00102-1203, Section 2, Town 33, Range 27, Big Lake Township. Mr. Glines.
Thank you. So to feed off of that rezone request for the 2.75 acre, they are requesting the simple plat Alfred's Edition consisting of one lot. Big Lake Township comments, the Big Lake Board of Supervisors reviewed this plat application during the regular meeting on Wednesday, May 28, 2025. The board is in favor of approving the simple preliminary and final plat of Alfred's Edition consisting of one 2.75 plus or minus acre parcel. The board began the process to address item number 2 from planning and zoning during a meeting, a motion to call for public hearing for the purpose of vacating the 66-foot wide road easement as described by document number 427444 is on file with the Sherburne County Recorder's Office. So basically, Mark, can you show the preliminary? There was a 66-foot wide easement that went through the property. It was identified early on by the attorney's office that would need to be vacated prior to the signing of the Mylars. Big Lake Township did hold a public hearing to vacate it. I did receive the documentation from Brenda, the township clerk, today that has been vacated, and that is a condition of the plat, so that is one item that has been satisfied.
Does that cul-de-sac exist that's on this?
No,
Doesn't look like it.
no. It's a more or less a private drive to go to Mr. Alfred's residence on the lake. Just a drive, it's a driveway, and then the cul-de-sac, the actual road stops right to the left of that green. So that's where the turnaround cul-de-sac is.
Oh, there, okay.
So the driveway is in more or less the road easement, but again, that is vacated, it'll be recorded, and then a new easement, egress easement will be recorded with the plat to continue Mr. Alfred's to access his property through this new lot.
If I could ask, why was it initially dedicated at 66 feet?
Well, when I built my house 22 years ago, and I don't know who I was working with in the county here, but they thought they should put a 66 easement on there in case, because we own the other 200 acres right next to us, in case we ever wanted to develop it. But they really didn't look into it very good, because if you look on the map here, there's a huge swamp there.
Yeah.
And it's about a drop of about 100 feet down to that swamp and back. It'd be almost impossible to run a road through there. And we've got it figured out where if we do ever sell this land or develop it, we have enough length here to put a road in and out off of 79. So to build a road up there would be not feasible at all.
Is that 66-foot easement, does that run all the way to your house, or?
No. It went in just kind of, about where I'm giving my boy this piece of land.
See if I can pull it up on the plat drawing.
Yeah, you can see it just went in a little ways.
I see. And it stops there at the property line?
Yeah.
Yeah, right there at that section.
And I don't think we're gonna cover this at this meeting here, but, when I started this project 2 years ago, I'll put it this way, I wasn't told that there was a 100-foot setback. And this is where we gotta build the house, right where that house is there.
Yeah, yep.
So with after a year and a half of working on this, and then we found out that there was a 100-foot setback, if you build a house, it's still in the easement of the driveway. So even with all this done, I can't build a house yet until I get a variance to move that 100-foot line out.
And I can clarify, so in order to do a plat, like a simple plat, you have to demonstrate that you can meet all required setbacks. You can't apply for variances for a simple plat, so this is, Mr. Alford's are identifying that he can meet all the requirements to plat this property. What he does in the future, as far as the location of the house, that's, up to Mr. Alford's, but for the platting purposes, he's demonstrated that he can meet all the required setbacks with the house meeting, the 100-foot setback to the sand dunes. But I'll continue the comments here quick.
Yes, sir.
Again, county surveyor, all the survey comments, preliminary plat have been addressed. David Rodell, one lot at 1,200 per lot dedication, does not benefit a ditch. Then obviously the DNR had commented that he had had discussion with Mr. Alford's about the setback to the sand dunes. But again, the applicant is proposing to create one 2.75 acre lot from a 20.05 acre meets and bounds. The remnant parcel will remain meets and bounds. It will meet the 20 acre lot minimum size for general rural. This lot has an existing house that was built in 2001. The property will get the access from the proposed 33-foot ingress egress easement, which will have to be recorded at the same time as the plat to allow legal access. Wetland delineation was completed and a notice of decision was approved on April 18th of 2025. No wetland impacts are proposed. Again, there's 5 proposed conditions. One of them has been met, number 3, and that will be recorded.
Are there any other questions for staff? Any questions for the applicant? He's already stated his name and address, so I don't think we need to do that a second time. Do you understand the 5 conditions of the plat and are able to abide by them?
Yep.
He said, yeah.
But here, let me say one more thing. Now, I've been told that after I pay the park fee, and then I apply for a building permit, then I can ask for a variance. Because if I can't get a variance, I can't build a house on this lot. Then all this is for nothing. I can't put a house on that lot.
It looks pretty hilly.
Huh?
It looks kind of,
Well, it is hilly, and it's only one spot I can build it, and right now, the house would be sitting on my driveway,
yeah, understood.
variance, and, that ain't gonna work. He'd be parking on my driveway to sit in front of his house. So, that's kind of the dilemma I'm in right now.
Yeah, well, we can't answer for the Board of Adjustment at this
No,
time.
I know you can't. So, well, that's the next step, I believe.
Yes, sir.
Mhm.
Well, with that, I will entertain a motion to approve.
I would move that we approve based on including the 5, or is it technically 4 now that
We can stick with 5.
conditions? It's still 5?
Let's stick
Okay.
with 5, and
All right.
I haven't got it yet.
On the 5 conditions.
It hasn't been recorded yet.
Mr. Chair, I believe we have to have the public hearing yet.
Oh, I beg your pardon.
That's
Yeah,
okay.
At this time, we will open a public hearing. Is there anyone out there to comment on this issue? Anyone out there to comment on this issue? Anyone out there to comment on this issue?
Move to close the public hearing.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Public hearing is closed. Okay, now we'll entertain a motion.
I will move that we approve with the 5 conditions.
Second.
And we don't have findings on plats, so all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion is approved. Again, we recommend you be here at the county commissioners meeting. And good luck with your variance application. Adjustment.
When is that, where is that?
It's, I think, the second Tuesday, or second Thursday of the month.
July 22nd, 9 AM.
No, he said to be at a meeting.
July 22nd.
What about the Board of Adjustment?
All that we deal with later.
Yeah, that's got to be recorded and applied for.
I'll keep in touch with him. Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Agenda item number 5, amendment to the Sherburne County subdivision ordinance. Request for an amendment to the Sherburne County subdivision ordinance, clarify language and modify the final plat process for standard plats. Subdivision ordinance, proposed amendment, section 10, subdivision 6, final plat process. Again, Mr. Glines.
Yeah, I'll tackle this. So the Planning and Zoning Department's process of reviewing plating procedures for standard plats. As of today, standard plats go to the Planning Commission for a recommendation before they go to the county board. But we don't have a public hearing on final plats for standard projects. It comes in front of the board. If nothing changes, we move it forward. We were requested by, EDA was looking at our development processes and was asking if there's any way to speed things up, to streamline things a little bit. And after reviewing our ordinance, reviewing multiple other, county ordinances, this is one area we found where we could potentially streamline this process and not require a developer to come back to the Planning Commission for final plat on a standard subdivision if nothing has changed. So we still have to go get comments from our townships, township engineers, public works, our county engineer, county surveyor, DNR, and all those different agencies. But this would basically, if nothing changed and we had all those approvals, it would allow a final plat to go directly to county board if no changes have been made. This potentially has a reduction of, upward of a month for a developer. And looking at the construction season, the feedback we had gotten said that's pretty critical. We have a short construction season, so any opportunity when you're building in standard plats, if you remember, typically require a road. So for them to get, developed, a month is a big deal. And so we had sent this out to the townships.
June 13th.
June 13th. And this was more of a procedural amendment to county zoning procedures. It didn't really alter what happens at townships. It doesn't happen. Doesn't change timelines for people to respond to us. It just gives us the opportunity to move this, basically skip Planning Commission for final plats when nothing has changed. And so we're looking for a recommendation from the Planning Commission now. And the other item that I wanted to mention, we did identify one, thing about this amendment that maybe should have gotten tweaked. And it's on condition number 9. It says, prior to consideration by Planning Commission, the applicant must submit documentation approved by the town board where the plat is located. And this should say Planning Commission or County Board, because there is a potential that it could skip Planning Commission. So that would be one modification. And the proposed modified language is right here. So the zoning administrator may forward a complete final plat application to the county board without first presenting the final plat application to Planning Advisory Commission if the plat is identical to the preliminary plat approved by the Planning Commission. So it would be one of those situations, we've had a few plats recently where we had some engineering issues or easement issues in our preliminary plat drawings that show up at Planning Commission. Ike, you're great at finding some discrepancies, and it gets called out at Planning Commission and it has to get modified. Well, those situations would have to be, resolved before it could come back. And that would have to go back to planning commission because there would be a change in the plat drawing. But if you got a plat, everything's perfect, everything's the way it's supposed to be, we get comments from our town boards, our town engineers, and all the other agencies. We can then just move this to county board for approval and not have a stop at planning commission. So this is what we're looking at. And again, we're trying to find ways to streamline some processes, but not interfere with our ability to really analyze a project.
And like Mark said, we sent it to the townships on June 13th, and we are accepting comments until July 22nd, up to the county board. Because we know it was a short timeline to review and comment, but we felt with this, you know, not affecting the townships at all, is more procedural at the county level. That was our thought process, so.
Well, if I could comment, it makes sense to me because it's, the preliminary plat is where the rubber meets the road as far as design work is concerned. And the final plat is largely a dedication with graphics, so I think it's a good idea.
Yeah,
myself.
because when we were looking at all, you know, options we had, state statute, you have to go to the township has to approve it, so there's nothing we can do about that, and we don't want it that bypass township. We want them to go to the township to get their comments, and township engineer and the county board. So those are the two entities that have to approve it. With planning commission, where we don't publish it or have a public hearing, that we just thought this was the best option that we've seen other counties do, so.
Well, to save a month is a big deal.
That is.
There's no doubt about it. Is there, do you have a feeling like right now, what is the percentage? I mean, is it 80%, 90%? Would it just be okay right now?
I'm trying to think back to, you know, just different standard plats. You know, over the last 5 years, I can think of one plat that had revisions from preliminary to final, where we had to bring it back to the planning commission.
I know of two.
It's
of them.
pretty rare. Usually by the time you get to planning commission, nothing's gonna change.
But it's
So-
more,
so I think we've had
Occasionally
two.
it may, but then it's gonna come back to you if they change something or they
Yep.
try to.
Or if there's an issue discovered, you know, that didn't get resolved, yeah, it will have to end up coming back.
and a lot of times it's a developer changing it on their own. They change the decision, or engineering comes into it, then we have to bring it back because it's not the identical that was presented at the preliminary.
Well, I'll comment, our board is not concerned about that month. The developer, we're here to service and to provide the right service to our constituents. And we have developers in our township, but our main objective is to represent the people. And we've had some, we're dealing with now, we've sent it back twice to him, and he wanted to present it here, and we asked him what to change to the engineers, and he only changes a half or a percentage of what we wanted to change and thinks we're gonna just let the rest slide. And so we're concerned that something may fall through the cracks, and developer's gonna make money if another month. And we can also, our town board, $500, they can call a meeting. If they can't afford $500 for a special meeting to change what they want to change, and then they can wait a month. So
And I can answer that,
our
Butch.
township is opposed to it as the way it's written here.
And then in that example that you're talking, you know, say that plat, you know, that can't move forward until the township gives their approval and the township engineer approves it. So that's preliminary. So that goes forward, preliminary comes to planning commission, goes to the county board, you know, say they approve it. Then they have to apply all over again for final plat, and we have to go through the same process. It has to go to the township. You know, you have to review it, and so it doesn't impact the township at all. You know, the township still has their comment period, that we're not rushing the township by any means. We're just stating that once we get everything back that we normally would, instead of putting it on the planning commission's agenda, it just goes to county board. So we still do all that work up front, assuming everything's identical. Now, if we identify something that's not identical from final to, you know, from preliminary to final, then it's got to go back in front of the planning commission. And the zoning administrator has that right to determine if it can move to the county board or if it has to go back in front of the planning commission.
We're just concerned about the check and the double check.
Mhm.
And
Yep, and that's what-
there's more development, a lot more in our developments in our community, there's in a lot of other ones we have. So
Well-
it is an issue for Livonia Township.
Yeah. I mean, Palmer, I mean, we don't get too many plats.
Yeah.
Most of them are simple splits like that. I will say one thing though, is that whatever plats we get and whatever splits we get are from our constituents. We don't have too many, we don't have too many developers coming in and trying to develop Palmer.
So it's a little-
Which is completely different than what you're dealing with,
Correct.
so.
So as long as you can assure the township that we're going to, that nothing is going to slide, that's our main concern, because we've, and Lynn may know who I'm talking about, but we've had,
Really, the only group that, so planning commission is the one that's primarily affected. So, having a final plat on your agenda that nothing has changed, everyone's have the approvals, it is just skipping this board. That's all that really changes in this application process. The same requirements are there for the township approval, same requirements for, final, county board approval. It really is just taking out the planning commission.
And it's not taking us out, it's just taking us out the second time.
The second
Taking it
time.
taking you out of the final plat, yeah, the second time.
It's, yeah.
Oh, and that, and just to make sure we're clear, only if everything is identical. So what you saw and what you approve in the preliminary plat has to be exactly what comes through in final plat.
Well, and it doesn't get here until it's met everything at
Correct.
the township level.
Township,
So,
Right,
Still
and we're
hold that.
running into that right now. We have a CUP and we have a plat where the townships, in this case, are against it, or the issues haven't been resolved. And so because the issues have not been resolved, we cannot put it on planning commission. We have to have township comment, that's in our ordinance, and that's a requirement. A developer has to have comments from the township, and if it's a plat, the township engineer has to tell us it's good to go and I've approved it. So we cannot move something forward, and right now we have 2 items that are stalled because they have not met all of those requirements, and the developer is not happy with us on those. And we've dug our heels in right now, and we're sitting on them saying, you need to give us what's required in the ordinance.
good, thanks.
And Butch, from a former designer's perspective, almost all of the effort goes into the preliminary plats.
I understand. This is a anomaly, I would say.
Butch's Township is dealing with a very challenging individual.
And so
Is that fair,
it's an
Butch?
anomaly, but
It's still
they
reality.
come once in a while, right? So that's our concern.
well, and like, Ike was saying, with this particular plat, once you get everything figured out preliminary, and move forward, and they come, and, the township gets what they want, as far as the approval, then when they come back final, as long as that's the exact same, and, the township says, yep, we like this, it was what we requested in preliminary, the final plat is the exact same, township says, yep, everything looks good, township engineer says, yep, looks like exactly from preliminary, everything looks good, then that's where we move forward.
So there's really no reduction in authority or,
No, it's just, the 2 minutes we're in front of planning commission, and
It just, we want to make sure that, and the planning commission has been on their toes, I will commend them for that, because this individual is pretty politely persistent, I guess. So-
I like how you discern those words.
Are there any other comments? At this time, we'll open a public hearing. Is there anyone out there to comment on this issue? Is there anyone out there to comment on this issue? Is there anyone out there to comment on this issue?
Move to close the public hearing.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Well, I guess we'll entertain a motion to approve the proposed changes to the final plat process.
And add number 9 for county board,
I beg your pardon?
Yeah, that addition of the,
the addition of
Oh,
number
that,
9, prior
number 9, yes,
consideration
sir.
of planning
Yeah.
commission advisory
Yeah.
Mr. Chair, I'll make that motion.
or county board.
Is there a second?
second. Go, you got it, Mouse.
Yeah, I'm younger. I'm gonna find my yearbook. I gotta write that down right here.
It's been moved to approve and seconded. Is it all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Move to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
Whoa.
Second.
all
Second.
right.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned.
Will that be a real undertaking, or you got an idea?
I think I know.
Good one.